Hello everybody, this is Mark Goldbridge, that's football. Manchester United bottled the Europa League. I know people may have seen me on the United stand, but That's Football is a channel for everybody, and it would be wrong of me to not discuss a major loss for a Premier League club in a major European final. We've got the Champions League to come, but let's have no doubts about this. This is an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment for me as a Manchester United fan that we bottled it against what I would say, Villarreal. With all due respect, are they really better than a Spurs or a Southampton? I don't think they are. 2 banks of 4, hit on the break. I think they had one shot on target in the whole 120 minutes, something ridiculous like that. United had 60% possession and they lose it on penalties. And actually, in extra time, Villarreal looked the better side. It's an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment. It's a bottle job. And I think that, looking ahead to next season, Manchester United could potentially struggle. It could be Solskjaer's last. Of course it could. But ultimately, let's talk about the match itself. Let's talk about the status of that game. This is why I didn't want United to play Arsenal in the final. Because if we can lose to an Arsenal sacked manager, Arteta has got the better out of Ollie every time he's played him tactically. And I tell you what, I suppose if there's any positivity, it's the fact that we didn't lose it to Arsenal. And that's why I didn't want to play Arsenal in the final. A lot of United fans wanted Arsenal because it would have been a hyped up game. I think it would have been a loss. Because tactically, that United setup cannot deal with teams that low block and hitters on the break. Even though it's our tactic, we can't deal with it. We can't deal with crosses. It's an embarrassment. It's an absolute embarrassment to lose to Villarreal. Well done to Villarreal. Dreams can come true. And they did come true, and they did deserve to win it. Penalty shootouts are lottery. I've always said that. If you win it, it's great. If you lose it, you can't complain. You've had 120 minutes to do it. And as favourites in the game, Manchester United over 120 minutes didn't do enough. They didn't do enough. Tactically, they didn't do enough. The substitutions weren't good enough. But I think it is an embarrassing thing because on Saturday night, we've got the Champions League final between 2 English clubs. And I think that Chelsea, Manchester City, Liverpool, and I want to talk about the difference in the Premier League here. Chelsea, Man City and Liverpool, for different reasons, are a level ahead of everybody else in that Premier League. Now, I know people say, well, look at the league table, Manchester United are second, but we know Liverpool have had huge issues. We know that they finished the season strongly. We know Chelsea, again, had issues and, have only had half a season under their current regime. I think you give Chelsea and Liverpool a full season next year, and the top 3 will be Man City, Chelsea and Liverpool, unless something amazing happens in transfer markets for a Leicester, a Manchester United or a Spurs, or maybe an Arsenal. But look, last night, I think that Man United are capable of losing to Villarreal. We are. We could have lost to Roma. As much as we had a big lead against Roma in the semi-final, if it wasn't for De Gea, we would have lost that game 6-7-2. Spurs couldn't even get to the semi-finals of the Europa League. Arsenal got knocked out by Villarreal, and there is the problem with the Premier League. I think the Premier League is the strongest league in the world, and I think Chelsea, Man City and Liverpool, they would destroy Villarreal. They would destroy Villarreal because they are well-coached sides. And if I was coaching any team against Villarreal, I would be looking at what Pep would be looking at, what Klopp would be looking at, what Tuchel would be looking at. We don't concede against this team. We do not concede against Villarreal. Their only real opportunity is going to be set pieces, and we concentrate and we focus. And Chelsea, Man City especially, very good at set pieces. So they wouldn't concede for a start. 120 minutes with Man City or Chelsea or Liverpool against that Villarreal side, and you think it's going to be 0-0. Because they won't concede unless something weird happens, but they'll break them down. Pep would have the tactical ability to break that down. Liverpool would have the tactical ability to overwhelm that back 4. It's pass and move. It's risk-taking. United, Arsenal, Spurs, they're very static teams. They play in a system and they don't alter. Look at Liverpool, look at Man City, look at Chelsea. What they would do is they would swarm that yellow defence. They would swarm it like a massive piece of apple pie landing in a little puddle of custard. They just absorb it and overwhelm it. And United couldn't do that, and Arsenal couldn't do that. And there is a big difference. I think La Liga fans will be celebrating, going, oh yeah, we've just proved the 7th best team in the league has beat your 2nd place team. And fair play, La Liga. If you wake up this morning and you're feeling confident about La Liga bouncing back, and it will bounce back because you've got 2 very good big clubs that will want to bounce back. But I do think that there is a separation in the Premier League. We are the best league in the world because of Man City, because of Chelsea and because of Liverpool. I mean, Liverpool, all right, this season, not great, but their success over the last 2 years is great. And Chelsea and Man City are the finalists in the Champions League. There's a big drop-off. And it's an eye opener for Manchester United fans. I think we're in a false situation. I think second place is more out of circumstance than ability, because Liverpool finished 5 points behind us in third place. Chelsea finished 7 points behind us, 6 points behind us in fourth place. That's not many points. That's basically 2 wins. Like, there's not a massive difference between Man United overachieving and Chelsea and Liverpool not having good seasons. 5 or 6 points. That's going to swing. I think it's a falsity. I think United are the best of the rest. I think fourth is where United probably will be next year. And that will probably not be enough to keep Ollie in his job. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But look, we sacked a manager for winning an FA Cup. We're going to keep a manager for losing the Europa League final terribly, embarrassingly, and finishing second in a weird season. So for Manchester United, for Arsenal, for Spurs, top 4 is the holy grail with the owners. But there's a very, very big difference. Marcus Rashford, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer talking about United being close. We're not close. We're a long way off, because if you are close, you don't go 120 minutes against a team like Villarreal. You don't. If you are really a team that's capable of winning trophies. And let's not forget, this is the Poundland Champions League. This is the Europa League. This is not the Champions League. It is not the Premier League title. This is the Europa League. And Manchester United did next to nothing to deserve to win that final. Arsenal could have been in the final. They didn't do enough to get to the final. There's a big L to hold for the Premier League here in relation to the gap between Man City and, I believe, Chelsea and Liverpool and the rest. And I think, Spurs, Arsenal, Leicester, United, all in the Europa League, none of them won it. Villarreal won it. That's a big indication that a team from Spain that's technically well organised can win a Europa League with 4 strong Premier League sides in it. So I think there is a divide. I think the Premier League is stronger than the La Liga, but in general, it's not the quality of the league running the way through it. It's the top 2 or 3 sides on paper, not on the league, on paper. And I'm very disappointed by it, but ultimately, I accept the fact that we bottled it. We were too tactically naive, and I think Arsenal do it, and I think Spurs do it. We've got the better players. Arsenal have got the better players. Spurs have got the better players, but the ability to break these teams down. One thing about Spanish sides, German sides, even Italian sides to a certain extent, is that they're tactically drilled better than us, but they just don't necessarily have the quality of player. So I'm very disappointed with Manchester United. We did bottle it. Looking forward to the Champions League final because, look, it's a Premier League game against Man City and Chelsea. In a way, I'd like it to be a foreign side, a non-Premier League side against the Premier League side, because I think it just adds a little bit more. But, both those teams have got to the final knocking all these teams out, like PSG, Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, Borussia Dortmund. They've all gone. And there are 2 English teams left in the biggest club tournament in the world. So the Premier League reigns supreme, but there is a big difference, I think, between the coaching ability of a Tuchel, a Klopp, and a Pep, and a Mourinho, and Arteta, and an Ollie. And I'll tell you what, I'll say it again. Watching that game last night, Arsenal have got better players than Villarreal. I think that they could have beaten us last night because, look, I know Villarreal beat Arsenal, but United, we struggle against the coach that defends deep and hits us on the break. And I think Arteta's proven that he's very good at that. So I suppose the only positive I would say is that I think Arsenal, unthinkable that we would have lost to Arsenal in a final, but we've just lost to Villarreal, so maybe we would have done. The future for Manchester United, just to pass it to anybody, and I'm going to be talking about this on the United Stand today, but I've always said I think next year's the big one. I mean, I do think next year's a big one. Ollie's going to get a new contract that's going to go down like a lead balloon with some fans, but he's going to get that for finishing second in the league. The reality is, whatever you think about United's players, coaches, our owners are even worse. So they're not going to wake up this morning and go, we need to make a change. They're not going to do that. Anyway, look, thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe. I'll speak to you soon.